Hey guys, and welcome to episode 4 of the MindzCollide podcast. Now, we might be a little bit late with this one, but we've got a stacked episode for you guys today. Wouldn't you agree, bro?
Absolutely. A lot of topics, a lot of great topics to hit on. And man, this, like you said, man, it's going to be stacked.
Exactly. We're coming back strong.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, let's jump into the first thing we want to talk about here, man. And it's about just toxic fans in hip hop towards other fans and artists.
Yep. That's a conversation we need to have, man. Toxic fans. So the thing I'm thinking about is, the whole Frank Ocean situation. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Where, unfortunately, I think it was last year, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, his younger brother passed away, right? And I remember when the news kind of hit social media, people are like, there were some people, like some crazy people who were talking about how, he's not dropping music, right? And it's like his brother just passed away. Can we let the man mourn before we talk about the music? And that was just what made me want to talk about this topic. But what do you think about that whole situation in relation to, I guess we can talk about just toxic fans in general, right?
Well, when you mentioned that situation, when you mentioned the Frank Ocean situation, that was definitely one that was in my mind, because it's like, it's just the absolute wrong time and place to ask something like that. Because I feel like people on Twitter, they sort of have it in their heads that, oh, it's going to be funny if, every single post this artist makes, I'm going to ask where the music's at. But there's some times where you just have to like actually look at what they're saying and realize that it's a bad time for it.
Very bad.
Yeah, and obviously, this is a hip hop podcast. We're hopefully not speaking to the people that are watching this. I think a lot of people that view our content wouldn't do something like that. But this is just talking about the toxic aspect of, hip hop, which every genre, every fan base has their toxic aspects, and with us, we know about it from the hip hop angle,
Yeah, because that's what we consume, right? So we're very, very in tune with how hip hop fans think. You just see so much of this, man, and it's people not having any kind of consideration for what these artists go through, right? It's like they forget that, man, they're literally human beings, bro. And the man, God rest his brother's soul, man, Frank Ocean's bro, right? His younger brother, I think his name was actually Ryan. So rest in peace to him. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a car crash. And, this sad news, man, it hit social media. And then I literally saw people talking about, he's not dropping music. Where's the album? We need the damn album. And it's like, where's your focus? Like, what are you thinking with? Like, this is the definition of toxic.
At that point in their heads, they're just completely dehumanizing the artist. It's like, to them, all they are is a music factory and not a person that actually experiences shit. Like, losing someone close to you, that's something that hits you heavy. That's something that's not going to leave you. Like, that's a really difficult thing to go through emotionally, and to have people responding to that by saying, oh yeah, but where's the music at though? Like, it's just really not the appropriate time. Another example, one that always pops to my head when this conversation comes up, do you remember when it happened with Lil Vert as well, and his grandma passing away?
Yeah, speak on that, man. Speak on that.
That was right around the time that was like during the gap between, I think it was Love Is Rage 2, that was his album before Eternal Atake, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'd released Love Is Rage 2, and then there was the gap, like Eternal Atake had been announced, but obviously, it was delayed for quite a while, so it sort of became a meme to like just say, drop Eternal Atake. Every time like Uzi said anything, even on posts that weren't related to Uzi, like people would drop an Eternal Atake meme, right?
I remember that. Yeah. So this happened because he put up like a tweet. He said that his grandma was in the hospital, right? And she was hurting, like she was sick. And he put that up on Twitter, obviously to, I guess, like share with his fans. He's an artist, right? His fans, they care about him. Most of his fans do as well, but there was a noticeable percentage of people who were talking about, where's the album? Where's Eternal Atake? And man, what can you say? It's just people being straight up insensitive towards any kind of struggles these artists are going through, and they don't realize, they don't really even try to put themselves in, the artist's shoes, and it's crazy, man.
It absolutely is. And one thing did I get that wrong there, that it was him talking about his grandma passing away? Did he
no,
tweet out about that as well, or was it just that she was sick?
Yeah, she was sick. So let's clarify that. We don't know if she passed away. Hopefully she's, alive and well. But at the time, she was in the hospital. And I'll see if we can find the tweet and put it on the screen. But yeah, that's what it was.
But even regardless of like the specifics of the situation, just seeing an artist tweet something where they're clearly not in a good place, or like make any type of post or statement about not being in a good place, and then just to respond to that completely like unempathetically, like you said, bro, definition of toxic.
And I mean, let's speak on the fact that, so have you seen the Kid LAROI? We're gonna speak about him a little bit later in the podcast, right? But yeah, so he got a girlfriend now, right? And then I saw like comments on his IG of people saying, I hope she breaks his heart, right? So he can drop some fire music. And then people did the same thing with Bryson Tiller when he wasn't dropping an album, right? I think it's now his wife. I think they're married now. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like, he, at the time, it was like his girlfriend, right? He introduced her to the world, and then people are like, oh, I hope she breaks his heart, right? So he can finally drop music. And I mean, I get it. It's funny, it's memes, but I'm saying there's a lot of seriousness in, those comments, I think.
And I guess it is also important to say that those jokes, they sort of come from the context of the music that those artists used to make. Like, the Kid LAROI's last album was called Fuck Love, right?
True, yeah.
So
yeah.
it was all about heartbreak and these emotions that he felt, going through a bad relationship.
Yeah.
So that's what people come to expect from his music, and that's what people gravitated towards it for. So I guess they're thinking, oh, now he's in a relationship, maybe he's not going to make music that's as good, or like that's the kind of joke that they make. But the thing is, I mean, I feel like that's probably got to suck to see if you are that artist. Just seeing someone saying, I hope she breaks your heart. Being the girl in that situation too, seeing that's like everyone saying, oh, she's going to break up with them, and then he's going to make fire music, like that can't have a good impact on you.
Definitely not, man. I mean, this is another conversation. Don't want to go too deep into it, but I think there's a lot of power in artists not, I guess, like sharing too much with the world, because these times, man, the internet, social media, whatever you want to call it, man, the internet is cruel, right? And when artists share too much, it's like they kind of give the power to people and their, I guess, like unnecessary judgment, right? I mean, imagine if Uzi wouldn't have, shared about his grandma being in the hospital. He might have been maybe a little bit happier in the moment, because he would have been, I guess, praying for her with his friends and
True.
The people
but
he
it's
loves.
Sort of like I would say it is a very natural thing as well, though, to sort of kind of air out your emotions on social media. It's just like somewhere where you can say anything, and if you're feeling something, or maybe even if you're happy, and like the Kid LAROI got in a relationship, he wanted to sort of share that in a sense on social media. It's a very natural thing to do, but like you said, it does sort of give ammunition to people where they can, maybe even if it's not their intention, use it against the artist, and like you said, make their day a little bit worse.
I think, yeah, just like you said, I mean, we all do it. I mean, I share stuff about myself, right? And I'm very private. I don't share too much about my life, but from time to time I do as well. But I think also we got to think about the fact that these artists are on such a big platform, right? So with them being at that kind of level comes a lot of good people who care about them, but also a lot of trolls, because they're just on such a big platform.
Yeah, it's a big platform, and just, the anonymity that's involved with the internet. A lot of people can say whatever they want, and it's not going to come back to them, because they don't have their name or their picture in their profile. Like, they can just say whatever they want, and a lot of people definitely use that in a negative way.
They really do, man. Let's speak on the fact that, toxic toxic to each other as well, right? It's not only the artist. It's I have this opinion about this artist or the song or this album, whatever, right? And
that's definitely something we've experienced firsthand.
Absolutely, man. Of course. Absolutely, man. Yeah. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, this is something me and you have both experienced firsthand. Just being fans in hip hop that have a sort of platform where people can see what our opinions are and just respond to it however they like. And a lot of people take hip hop opinions really personally. And I understand why, because, you know, music is such an important thing to people. It holds meaning in their life. So I feel like when you express an opinion that doesn't align with someone else's, if you're criticizing an artist they like, they're going to take it as an attack on them. And then that causes them to sort of think that they're being attacked. So they respond back to what you say in a sort of toxic or negative way.
And it's all because of how we feel about the music, right? And how they feel about the music. And the fact that my opinion might not, you know, I guess like aligned with what they think about this music. You know what I mean? It's,
yeah.
At the end of the day, it is a conversation, right? And I don't think conversations are not illegal. We should all have, like, I mean, our platforms are built off of conversations, but I actually heard this quote from a comedian that I'm a fan of, but he said, have your opinion and don't let your opinion have you, right? So
that's a bar.
That's a bar. Facts. And I think there's a lot of truth in having an opinion and not really letting that opinion kind of like own you. Because once you feel a certain way about an artist and you're like, oh no, I'm not gonna change my opinion about this song or this artist or whatever. I think it's kind of petty, because then you're kind of, what's the right word to use? What would you say is the right word to kind of like, you're closed-minded, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the closed-minded fan, in my opinion. I don't think that's not healthy for any kind of culture, because cultures thrive off of conversations.
Honestly, I feel like if you are going to be a closed-minded hip-hop fan, then why don't you just, avoid the conversation? Why would you seek other people's opinions if you're not open to hearing them and what they have to say, right? I don't know. I'm sort of two minds on it, because music is a very personal thing to people, and people have strong opinions on it, and that's kind of like the reason that we are able to discuss it and have a platform. The fact that people do care about music so deeply. So in that sense, I think it's a good thing that people care about music so much, but it's just when it gets to the point that they're not willing to hear any other viewpoints, and they're even willing to like personally attack people sometimes for just saying something about something as subjective as music. It's kind of crazy to me.
It is. And I think we understand why that happens, because it is such a personal thing. And people really connect with the music to the point where they get possessive and defensive about it, which, I mean, I get it, but I don't think it necessarily should be that way. But then again, we're dealing with people, and people are unpredictable.
And I think one of the biggest keys here to avoid being a toxic hip-hop fan is to try not to make someone else's music your personality.
There we go.
Because I feel like at that point you identify with it too much, to the point that you don't want to hear anything others have to say unless they love that artist too.
Yep. I mean, at that point it's like you're not really a fan. I mean, you're a fan of the music, but I'm saying it's kind of like your opinion owning you, right? And you're
Back
a slave.
To that quote, right?
Yeah, you're a slave to your opinion now. And you're not going to listen to what anyone else has to say, because you're so deep into that hole of just being closed-minded.
Absolutely. So to round it out, try your best not to be a toxic hip-hop fan.
But yeah, bro, let's transition from this whole toxic fans conversation to let's talk about, is rapping a dangerous job? That's a conversation I think everyone has, especially in these last few years, man, with so many rappers dying and us just losing so many of our own, right? Is rapping a dangerous job? What comes with being a rapper? What comes with being a famous rapper, having that kind of platform. And a couple artists come to mind: Pop Smoke, XXXTentacion, King Von, Juice WRLD. We've lost all these guys, man. Way too young.
Rest in peace to all of them.
Rest in peace to all, to all of them, man. God rest their soul.
When you say way too young, it really is just, obviously it would be sad anyway, but just looking at how young they all were, how little of their life they actually lived is crazy. And I think with all those examples you mentioned, I'm not going to say them being a rapper was entirely responsible, but definitely, like you said, the things that come with that,
yeah,
that's a big factor in, what happened to them eventually.
We got to bring up the whole kind of like street conversation, right? Because, for example, I mean, Pop Smoke, King Von, I mean, they talked about the streets, right? They talked about all that in their music, and bringing that energy into the industry is obviously what made them poppin', right? I mean, they were great artists, and they had something to say on their records, and just having that platform and bringing that kind, bringing their past life into this new life they have. I think that's what took them away, right? I think that kind of energy, right? Them talking about the streets was a part of their story, but there are certain things that come with that life.
I would say it's that combined with the fact that there's a lot of money involved now and a platform where that money is sort of broadcasted.
Okay, are you talking about like them rapper culture, kind of like showing off?
Right, rapper culture, exactly, yeah.
Because
People
there's a lot of, I was just going to add in, there's a lot of envy and jealousy that comes with that, right? Because these guys literally came from nothing, man. Nobody gave them anything, and they made it on a worldwide platform. King Von was really about to, right? He wasn't entirely, I mean, kind of same with Pop Smoke as well. Like, he wasn't entirely just worldwide when he passed away, right? I think Pop Smoke really blew up after, unfortunately, right, he passed away. That's when his music really took off, and I think it would have taken off, but just the whole, when a rapper dies is like sensationalized. Anyway, what were you gonna say, by the way? My bad.
When they do make it, it's completely natural to want to display at least a bit of that lifestyle, right? Whether it's within the lyrics of your music, whether you're going on Instagram Live to show off something you bought, or things like that. It's natural, it's things a lot of rappers do, but like you said, it can breed jealousy and envy in people. And some people either want to take them down because of that or try and take what they have. It feels like having such a big platform and broadcasting how rich you are on it, and then having enemies through the lifestyle that you had before rap, it is a dangerous combination, I feel like.
It is. Wow. I mean, it is, man, because it is a lot of things there's a lot of things that come into play, right? Their past in the streets. What have they done in the streets? Have they pissed anyone off in the streets? I mean, especially if you talk about all the stuff you did in the streets. Let's leave it at that. Whatever that may be, you're doing this or you're doing that. Have you is there a lot of people from your past you've, I guess, like, screwed over, right? And that's what comes with that lifestyle. Like, it's every man for their own, every man, for themselves, I should say, right? And it's a very dangerous path, because now they get to a place where their face is like known.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And people who would have, they might have done something in the streets, whatever that may be. And the people who now find them because they're on this big platform. And it's like, oh, it's that guy. You know what I mean? So they just become, they put a spotlight on them.
Yeah, and really that's the saddest thing, because the thing that blew them up, the thing that made them a lot of money, the thing that gave them this, great lifestyle, you could say that they might still be here if they didn't become rappers. That's the craziest thing. That's a really sad thing to think about, man.
That's scary, man. And when you say that, man, I'm just thinking about Juice WRLD, bro. Right? Because Juice WRLD was very open about his battle with addiction. And, I think it's safe to say that Juice WRLD having all the resources he had, right, having all that money, it probably, made his situation worse because now, he's addicted and now he has all this money. And a lot of artists go through this. This is not anything that's, specific to Juice WRLD. It's almost like a person who's hurt being given all the tools to destroy themselves. Does that make any sense?
That's put pretty perfectly, because if you think about his situation, just imagine being, addicted to something like drugs, right? Then making music while you're addicted, that music blowing up, and then you're still taking drugs, you still have this habit, this addiction, and you're making crazy amounts of money at the same time. So you have this addiction and you're successful. You got successful while you had this addiction. You got successful by talking about it to an extent. You got successful by talking about this addiction. So what I feel like at that level, it takes away a lot of the reasons to stop, to break that bad habit, to break that addiction, because you're not in financial ruin. Juice WRLD was a millionaire, he had a lot of money, he was successful, and he was going to make a lot more money for sure.
Yeah.
And because of that, that just takes away one of the really important incentives for a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people it would be harder for them to continue their addiction if it was leading them towards just being broke.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And plus, we got to think about the fact that, being an artist, man, it's the kind of job that just leads to an artist being able to live a very reckless lifestyle.
And not only does it make him able to live it, it's sort of encouraged by the general rapper image and lifestyle.
True, it gives him incentive, right?
Exactly.
Why should he stop if he's making money off of it? And see, it's a cycle of it's a cycle of the drugs fueling the music making money, and then the money leading to the artist being able to create a very cool, lavish, fun lifestyle for themselves. So now it's like a cycle of, okay, so I'm making the music, I'm getting the lifestyle, I'm getting the money, and all of these pieces depend on each other. So what's the point of really stopping?
That's exactly it. At that point, it's very possible for the artist to see the drugs as necessary to their career.
For sure. Absolutely, man. And it's the same thing with, being a rapper from the streets. You're talking about this stuff. You make music about it. The music blows up. You make money. Again, you create a cool lifestyle. And people praise you for talking about this and being about it. So why should you stop? What's the point of stopping if you're getting all the rewards without any of the consequences? And that's where the danger comes in, because it just becomes I mean, see, the thing is, I'm sounding like a hypocrite because I listen to this music, right? We all do. All of us listen to it, man. And it's not to say that we can see the flaws in it, in that kind of lifestyle. I think just being objective and analyzing what really goes on in the industry and how lives are affected because of it, I think it's just a very logical thing to do.
And one thing I was thinking there was, I wonder, maybe there's no basis for this, but I wonder how much of a part the labels have to play into this too. Because surely if that's the music that blew these rappers up, the labels would be encouraging them to make a similar type of music focused on the same topics, and sort of encouraging them to follow that same road, at least within their music.
I mean, it only makes sense for the labels to, maybe not encourage the artists, because they want to have that reasonable doubt, I guess. But just giving them all the pieces to the puzzle. And I think a lot of this comes down to, artists not being, it's about mental health, man. Because a lot of these guys from the streets, man, it's like, whether it's Juice WRLD, who is struggling with addiction, or X with mental health, or King Von, who came from the streets, it comes down to the mind, man. And if they're not good mentally, man, they're gonna, it's not going to end up good because it's going to lead to a destructive path. And I think labels actually have a, they should make sure these artists are mentally okay, man, and make sure these artists are mentally stable so they can keep on doing their job. Because at the end of the day, man, it really does benefit the label to have the artists around. Of course it does. How much money would have Juice WRLD not made for his label if he was alive today? Of course, he made millions and millions after he passed away because, the death was his death. Unfortunate passing was sensationalized, whatever. It's people are listening to the music, the album is going crazy. But I'm saying over the span of a decade, 15 years, 20 years, he would have made them a lot of money. So it only makes sense for the label to make sure these artists are good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can actually definitely see where you're coming from with that. Obviously, we can't take the sort of elements of, not to blame any of the rappers that this has happened to, of course, but there's always an element of personal responsibility there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I do think, like what you said, the labels should at least do a few things to sort of protect artists. They're making them a lot of money. So there should be stuff in place to protect their mental health, and I don't know, providing security or some shit like that. Like, I don't know what they can do, but I feel like they should do more to protect the artists that are under them.
They really should, man. And just like you said, there's I guess like an aspect of personal responsibility. We also got to keep in mind, man, we can't really, not that we're doing it, I'm just saying we can't really put everything on the label, right? It's like the label is a business. I mean, they have to make money. They have to sign artists. And if an artist signs willingly, I mean, it is what it is. We can't really blame them. But I'm saying let's create an ecosystem of, that actually favors the artist as well as the label. And that ecosystem involves something I think is that I strongly think should be done is, and I'm going to make a video on this, but mandatory therapy, man. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure they don't do anything like that, right? Maybe if they realize that an artist is, I'm not sure. I'm just talking right now, but I'm saying maybe if they upfront, they realize that, oh, this artist is really unstable, then something might happen behind the scenes. I've never heard about it, but I'm saying upfront, man, when you sign that contract, it's like, you have to go to therapy. We have to make sure you're mentally good, mental health assessment, whatever. Make sure these guys are not, they don't end up in a, I guess, like destructive path in pursuit of them becoming stars. Because rapping being a dangerous job, that's what it comes down to. It's artists, unfortunately, putting themselves in situations, and not always, right? Like in Pop Smoke's case, I mean, he was chilling in the Hollywood Hills, doing his thing in the Airbnb, and then he put up that Facebook story, whatever, and then, hey, they came in, you know what I mean? So this is not a bulletproof method, but I'm just saying labels have to start looking out for the artists if they want to keep on, right? If they want to, they got to look out for their asset. Simple as that. And let's make sure these artists are good.
Yeah, works for everyone involved.
It really does, yeah.
So yeah, now that we've hit on some pretty big topics to start off with, let's talk about some artists, man. And I want to start with someone that just dropped an album recently. That's Lil Skies. Dropped his album Unbothered this month.
Yes, sir.
And I just wanted to have a conversation about him. What do you think about Lil Skies?
Lil Skies? I mean, I'm a Lil Skies fan. I've been a Lil Skies fan ever since he came out. I found him through, just like a lot of people, through Red Roses. I'm still bumping that track. And then after that, he followed that up with Nowadays. I say that to say I like Lil Skies. I've always been a Lil Skies fan, and I've always been rooting for him. I've always wanted to see Lil Skies surpass, whatever level he's been at in his career at different times. So I like Lil Skies, man. What do you think? Are you a fan of Lil Skies?
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat for sure. I definitely enjoy his music. It's just, it's got such a, like, I guess there's just generally a mellow, calm vibe to his music. He has a pretty soothing voice. Like, it's something I can just throw on, just pretty much chill and listen to. The funny thing is, actually, I'm pretty sure that one of the first times I actually heard about Lil Skies was from your videos on him when he was, just kind of starting to blow up.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's one of the first things that sort of put me onto him. And I like his music, man. I like his music, but I definitely think his sort of career arc has definitely changed a little bit since a couple years ago.
Definitely, man. I mean, Lil Skies is not as, because when he first came out, man, I think Lil Skies was on a crazy run, man. Especially the last, not the last, but the first few months he came out, right? Red Roses was going crazy. He dropped Nowadays, right? The music video with Landon Cube, and then after that, in the January that year, he dropped his album, right? His was it debut album? Let me think. Life of a Dark Rose, right? It was a debut.
I believe it was, yeah. Yeah, he just had some mixtapes before that. And I think
it might have actually been a debut mixtape, bro. I don't think it was an album, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He dropped his debut project, right? His intro project to the industry, I guess.
Yeah, and I believe that was a mixtape actually now, because he called his first album Shelby after his mother. He wanted that to be what he did with it.
That's true. Yep. So I think those first 6 months, man, he was going crazy. I think Lil Skies was just going up and up and up. And he dropped a couple really good singles that year. One of them being No Rest. You like that one?
Yeah, that one's nice. I like that, man.
So yeah, what do you think about, I guess, where he's at right now in 2021? Or what do you think about the album? Just, there was a lot of things to cover.
Definitely. I think I will say he's definitely in a different place popularity-wise now. I feel like he went from someone who, in 2018, as we were saying, was blowing up. And, I mean, he was just doing really insanely good numbers. Like, I'm looking here right now, and Life of a Dark Rose was certified gold towards the end of the year that it came out.
That's amazing.
Which is selling over 500k units.
Wow.
And it was eventually certified platinum in February 2020. Platinum mixtape right there. So Life of a Dark Rose was definitely a huge moment for Lil Skies, but I think he sort of lost a bit of that momentum by taking a decent amount of time to drop his next album Shelby after that.
Yeah, I mean, he dropped Shelby was his it was his debut, right?
Right,
so
that was his first studio album.
Second project in the industry. Did he have any mixtapes earlier, like before?
Before Life of a Dark Rose?
Yeah. Did he have any?
Yeah, he had a couple like SoundCloud mixtapes. He had the earliest one I've heard from him was Good Grades, Bad Habits 2, but of course that implies that there's Good Grades, Bad Habits 1, so that was probably his first one.
Yeah.
A SoundCloud mixtape called Alone.
Okay.
And there might be another one I'm missing, but yeah, there was a couple of SoundCloud mixtapes before that, but Life of a Dark Rose was, like you said, his first like industry mixtape.
But yeah, he took a long time to drop Shelby. Shelby dropped, and if I'm not mistaken, was it March, right? It dropped
March 2019.
2019, yeah, there we go.
And Life of a Dark Rose, as we said, that was January 2018. So, and I think it definitely, part of the reason that feels like such a long wait is because of the type of music that Lil Skies makes. This isn't necessarily a criticism, because it's one of the reasons I like his music, but it's very sort of, it could be described as kind of basic, right?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, pretty like simple rhymes, but it's more just about the vibe, his voice, how it sounds over the instrumentals. But to wait around, I think that's like 14 months from his previous mixtape, I just think that's a very long time for the type of music that Lil Skies makes.
For sure, I agree with that, and I don't even think it's necessarily the music he makes. I just think it's when you're like a new name in the game, a new artist, right? If you haven't made like a really, really impactful, what's the word? Impact, right? Impression on the industry. Kind of like, for example, look at Roddy, man. Roddy's taking his sweet time, and don't expose me, but Roddy's taking he's taking his sweet time with that next release, and he just had such a strong. I mean, he just stepped in a game like boom, I'm here, right? With Antisocial and The Box. I mean, wow. So what I'm saying is, if you haven't made that really strong impact, I don't think you can, let your foot off the gas, right? And as an example, random example we can bring up is, for example, YB and Cordae, right? He dropped The Lost Boy. When that dropped, that was in
2019.
2019, right? And we're coming up in 2021, right? So he dropped The Lost Boy. It was in July, it was in July 2019, and he still hasn't dropped a project ever since then. But YB and Cordae is like I mean, listen to the kind of music he makes. So this kind of goes together with what you said, right?
I think, and it is worth noting that Shelby, his album, that actually did go on to be certified gold as well. Actually, this year that happened, January 21st, 2021. So I think that was right before he dropped Unbothered. The day before he dropped Unbothered, Shelby went gold.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Or it was certified gold.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so then he dropped Shelby March 1st, 2019, and then his new album Unbothered dropped just under a year later, January 22nd, 2021.
Yep.
And I definitely think it's fair to say that Lil Skies, his sort of popularity in the mainstream has decreased over time. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say that he didn't fully capitalize on how big 2018 was for him, just with, taking a decent amount of time to put Shelby out. But I think he's still very well supported by a dedicated fan base now.
Yep, definitely.
He's sort of, he blew up, got a good fan base from that, and now he's more maintaining it rather than expanding.
There we go. That's the exact word I was going to use. He's kind of, he's maintaining what he has, right? And his fan base has stripped, I guess, like down substantially, a lot, right? I mean, compared to where Lil Skies was when he first, not that he has elevated in terms of name and, relevancy, right? But I'm saying he's not really hot like that anymore, right? And he got a great supportive fan base from him really blowing up when he first came out, because Lil Skies really blew up when he first came in, man. Like, he really blew up.
Yeah, that was his biggest moment when he first came out, for sure.
It was like there was, after everything, after, Red Roses and 8 months going forward, he really did his thing. And now, like you said, man, he's kind of just maintaining what he has. And that's why I think the hype surrounding Unbothered, it wasn't really that crazy, right?
Definitely, yeah. I'm wondering, to go from that conversation, the hype for Unbothered wasn't crazy, but how did you feel about the music on there?
The music, I'd say mainly, man, I like the singles more than a lot of the songs on here.
I definitely feel that, man.
Favorite song apart from the singles, right, was okay. So the singles were, let me see. So it was Having My Way. It was
Okay.
On Sight. Yeah,
I know you weren't
Okay.
feeling okay.
Yeah, definitely wasn't feeling that one. A lot of people weren't.
Yeah.
And then we have Riot.
Riot was great. I loved Riot.
That was a cool song. I like that one.
And I think that was the 4 singles right there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I'd say Sky High was probably like I love that song. That was a great song.
For me, the highlight outside of the singles was, at the moment, probably Dead Broke. Dead Broke has been stuck in my head all day today, man. But I think it is like you said, like, to be honest, the best tracks on this album had already dropped from it, for the most part. The other songs kind of range from ones that are nice, or I don't really care for them that much, for the most part.
I get that. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah, because I feel like, I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing Skies too much, because I do like his music, but
yeah. Anything we say on here, by the way, we like Lil Skies. Like, we're Lil Skies fans. Like, we've made that clear. So I don't need, it's not hating, right? We're kind of just like analyzing his position in the game, whatever. So we keep going.
Yeah, and what I will say is there's not really a crazy amount of variety to what he does. So I feel like there were a lot of songs here that kind of sounded similar to each other. And, Locked Up and Trust Nobody had him kind of going over these guitar beats that were similar to what was heard on Having My Way.
Yeah.
You've got kind of like the typical Lil Skies flows on here. There's certain kind of like rhyme schemes or flows he'll gravitate towards. So yeah,
it doesn't sound like Lil Skies is really, I guess, like, chasing popularity. He's not really doing anything, to grab a lot of people's attention. And right. And the music is, I'd say Lil Skies' older music was better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think Lil Skies is quote unquote done, because people are saying he fell off. Number one, man, he has a crazy supportive fan base. That's number one. So I think Lil Skies has, and plus we got to bring up the fact that, people don't want to bring this up because they're like, let's just focus on the music. But the thing is, with Lil Skies, he became a father, right? In the midst of blowing up and really popping off. And that's, I mean, man, becoming a father is, it's a serious thing, right? And there's, of course, other rappers who, who got kids, a bunch of kids actually, and, they're still doing their thing, but everybody deals with it differently, right? So I don't know, maybe cut him a little bit of slack, I guess, right? I think Lil Skies I still think he has it in him, man.
Definitely. I think at this point, his time is definitely split between making music and being a father. Because obviously being a father to especially a newborn kid is a very time-consuming thing. And there's a lot of responsibilities that come with that. And Lil Skies, from what I've seen on social media, he cares about his son a lot. He spends a lot of time with them. And he just, he wants to be there for him. So it makes sense that in a situation like that, less of his time would be dedicated towards the music, but he still enjoys making music enough to continue putting it out there. So maybe you'll be able to notice when listening to it that there is slightly less focus on the music, but I think, like we said, he's got a dedicated enough fan base to do that and continue putting himself in a good position and put his son in a good position in the future with the money that's going to come from that.
But yeah, apart from the Lil Skies conversation we just had, bro, let's talk about the Kid LAROI, specifically the Kid LAROI Hate, man. What do you think about the Kid LAROI? In
terms of his music, I honestly think it's enjoyable, man. I think it's enjoyable. I don't think it's anything crazy or revolutionary, but I think he makes very catchy songs, and I just think that's what he's trying to do.
I think so as well, man. I think a lot of people can't really admit that he has good songs, because there's a lot of negativity surrounding his name. A lot of people, he's how hip hop, we go through these phases of different artists being, I guess, like the hated ones, right? I feel like the Kid LAROI is kind of like that guy at the moment, because he's a new guy in the industry, and of course there are a couple reasons why this is happening. But yeah, I mean, I like his music. I don't like all of his music, right? There's some things I don't like about his music, but overall as an artist, man, I'm enjoying some of his stuff. Not all of his stuff, again, but some of his stuff.
Yeah, he's got some bangers and incredibly replayable music. I just think he has a good voice for making catchy music.
Definitely. And I think regarding his voice, not to talk about too much about just the music, but regarding his voice, I think he's gonna, because one thing about the Kid LAROI I want to say is, I think he can definitely smooth out his vocals, if that makes any sense, right? He kind of has these, I guess, like screaming, what do you call it? Like screaming vocals, right?
It's almost got like a rough sound to it.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't think it works on, all of his songs. But for example, on the song he has that's going crazy on With You, he really made sure, just brought that like smooth kind of sound. And I think it sounds great.
Definitely, man. I get what you mean when you said the vocals. Some of them sound very rough, where he does go into that sort of screeching delivery. And I think he does that to sort of make his vocals sound really intense, but sometimes it can be a bit too much, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but when it comes back around to the hate, why are we bringing that up? Like, what have you seen in terms of the hate for the Kid LAROI?
Specifically, what I'm thinking about is people saying that, the label is using Juice WRLD's name to push LAROI, and I'm thinking about that. Reminds Me of You song. Have you listened to it?
Yeah, I have. I listened to that once when it dropped, but I haven't really went back to it since then. But yeah, he dropped that with Juice WRLD, and I believe that dropped on the anniversary of Juice WRLD's death.
Yeah,
right?
It did.
Which was what got people so heated about it.
Exactly, yeah. And then, he saw just people were really going off on him, and a lot of people were not rocking with that. And that then led to people comparing his Spotify numbers to Uzi, right? He surpassed Uzi in monthly Spotify listeners.
And people we should note as well, people were comparing it in a negative way. Like, they weren't like, oh, this is so good. Like, LAROI's doing really well. He's got more monthly listeners than Uzi. Like, they were like, how the hell does this kid have more streams than Uzi?
Exactly, yeah. Good that you mentioned that, yeah. And then after that, it's, I felt like that was kind of like, with the whole Juice WRLD thing, that was like a month ago. That was in December, right? And then people comparing, saying how does he have more than Uzi? And then how does he have more than Kendrick? And then now it's gotten to a point where a lot of people just don't like him, and it's weird, man, seeing how much people are, going out of their way to really just hate on the guy, man.
And it's important to note as well, they're throwing all this hate at an actual kid. Like, not a kid, but like, he's not 18 yet, right? He's 17.
Yeah, he's 17, yeah.
Yeah, and there's people I can guarantee there's people who have like made sort of like death threat tweets towards him on Twitter and shit like that. Guarantee.
I've seen that, bro.
You've seen that shit.
Yeah. And it's insane. It's crazy to me, man. And
all because this kid is big at the moment. And I get people being pissed off about the Juice WRLD thing, right? But that is more on the label, right?
Yeah, it is. Because what I've always said is regarding that is, how much leverage do you think a 17-year-old has,
against the multi-million-dollar label?
There we go. Like, bro, we're talking about a big-ass corporation who makes billions, right? How much leverage do you think he has? Like, I'm pretty sure, man, if we asked him right now, do you want to drop it on the 8th? He'd be like, no, that's my brother's day. Let's do it another day, right? And I'm pretty sure he doesn't have he doesn't have a say. He didn't have a say in that. I'm pretty sure he didn't, man. And it only makes sense.
And the thing we should note as well is that the Kid LAROI and Juice WRLD were close before Juice WRLD passed away. Juice WRLD was sort of his mentor. So people aren't mad at the fact that, him and Juice WRLD have songs together and they're coming out after Juice WRLD's passing. It's the fact that the label is sort of trying to push this image of LAROI being the next Juice WRLD. Sort of trying to replace him.
Yeah, for sure. Because, Juice is not here and LAROI is. And LAROI is going to be huge. I mean, even if the label didn't try to use the whole Juice WRLD thing to push him, he would still be big.
Definitely.
For sure,
definitely.
right? But they're trying to put, all their eggs in one basket, so to speak, right? So the Kid LAROI is just an opportunity to capitalize off of an artist who has a lot of potential, and the label knows that. And again, he's 17, man. How much leverage does he actually have? I don't think he has a lot.
Yeah, I just don't think all the hate in this situation should be directed towards the Kid LAROI. I think a lot of people are upset that he's blowing up just because they don't like his music. Again, this kind of ties back to the toxic fans discussion, but there's a lot of people who think his music is very generic. They think it's very basic. They think he sounds like a lot of other people. So they're sort of using this situation as something to hold against them. And just all this hate shouldn't be going towards him in this situation. I think it's incredibly unnecessary.
I think so as well, man. And you know what? I'm just thinking about, if I was in that position, man. Okay, the 17-year-old me, I'm not sure if I could handle all that. Could you? What do you think?
Absolutely.
Being 17, man, and being on this stage, like this mainstream, because he's getting there, right? He's really getting there, man. And it's been fast for him. The Kid LAROI blew up in quarantine, man, and he hasn't really experienced, his fame to the fullest because he hasn't toured. He hasn't been on tour, right? And but yeah, I'm not sure if I could not handle that, man. Like, he's getting a lot of negativity thrown his way, and bro, again, we've said this before, but the kid he's 17. Right? I was gonna say the man, but he's not a man. He's a 17-year-old
He's not the man
kid.
LAROI.
Exactly. He's gonna have to change his name, by the way, when he's 18. The big LAROI.
Yeah, man. But that's exactly the real point we just want to emphasize here. It's a similar point to the toxic fans discussion. Just have empathy for these artists.
For sure, man. Definitely.
Think about the situation they're in and don't send hate their way for something that probably is not even their decision. You know who talking about the Kid LAROI reminds me of?
Who?
Cole Bennett. We've got to talk about Cole Bennett and his impact and influence on the rap game, man.
Absolutely, man. Cole Bennett is... Bro, this guy's not even a rapper, but he's literally one of the most influential figures in the industry.
Yeah, that's how you know someone's really doing something right in the industry, when they're not a rapper and you know their name and their face.
Right, yep. That's Cole Bennett in a nutshell, man. This guy has contributed to so many artists blowing up. I mean, some of the biggest stars in the industry are here because of Cole Bennett.
And that's actually what reminded me of him right there. The fact that we were just talking about the Kid LAROI, and he's someone that I found through Cole Bennett's platform, Lyrical Lemonade.
Yeah.
And he did, I think it was the music video for, what was that early song he had?
With Lil Tecca Diva, maybe.
Before that, it was the, what's it called? In Love with the Money, it's fucking mo.
Yeah, if you...
Let Her Go. Let Her Go, that was it.
Okay.
So yeah, Let Her Go was, I believe, the first video that the Kid LAROI did with Cole Bennett on the Lyrical Lemonade channel.
Mm-hmm.
And that put me onto him. Like I said, the Kid LAROI is an artist that I enjoy his music, and he's someone that I discovered through this platform. So I think Lyrical Lemonade, it's really became its own entity in hip hop.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's an empire, bro. And again, like Cole Bennett has literally brought some of the biggest stars in music. You know, for example, Juice WRLD. I found Juice WRLD through God Rest His Soul, but I found Juice WRLD through Cole Bennett, right? Lucid Dreams, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it All Girls Are the Same? I don't remember. But anyway, the point is, Juice WRLD, I mean, Lil Skies, Red Roses, Lil Mosey,
Jack Harlow
I
first
well.
listened to What's Poppin' on because it was a Lyrical Lemonade video.
There we go. Another guy. Lozan, Betrayed.
Yeah, that was a huge one. And it's to the point that even if I don't know the artist at this point, if they have a Lyrical Lemonade music video, I'm going to watch it. Just because I love the editing style, I love how they make the videos, the set design, just the production value that goes into them, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. A Lyrical Lemonade music video just has its own vibe to it. And if you're watching this and you're unfamiliar with it, Lyrical Lemonade is primarily a music video production company. But Cole Bennett has, like, he has his hand in other things now. Like, they actually make their own actual lemonade now.
Yeah. Hoodie. I mean, the merch is selling like crazy, always.
I own a Lyrical Lemonade hoodie. It used to be one of the only things I wore in my videos, so people would always mention that.
Oh, man, you got to give me one, man.
Yeah, man, they're rare. That one that I got is sold out in like 90 seconds. I had to be fast to get that. I was like insane. Sitting there waiting for it to drop. He's also got he has festivals every year. Obviously not 2020 because Rona.
Yep.
But they're planning to have it this year, I think, in the summer. He has a music festival every year. It's called I believe it's the Lyrical Lemonade Summer Smash. And it's just crazy that Cole Bennett has built this all up from something that he conceptualized when he was 13, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, he was young, man.
Or not when he was 13, but he did it in 2013. And just for him to start that then and come this far with it and be such a big name in hip hop, I think is very inspirational.
It is, man, because, I mean, again, man, it's like Cole Bennett is the guy behind the scenes. Despite the fact that he's the guy behind the scenes, you don't see him in the videos. He has his reach is insane. And I think his track record, like, really speaks for itself. And I mean, Cole Bennett, to me, man, like, he's a GOAT in his own way, man. Really, man. Real talk.
Absolutely.
Just the sheer amount of impact he has is out of this world.
Definitely, man. And I think it's almost, in a lot of ways, it's went from people discovering Lyrical Lemonade from the artists. In a lot of ways, it shifted to people discovering artists from Lyrical Lemonade.
Yeah, I like that.
Because it's something that people are excited when new videos drop here, man. I mean, obviously, there's still some cases where the artist is sort of bigger than Lyrical Lemonade, like Eminem. Eminem's got a couple videos with Cole Bennett now. But still, I think it's just a Lyrical Lemonade music video can really elevate an artist further.
For sure. And Cole Bennett knows what he's doing, man. I mean, he picks the right artist to work with. 50, 60% of the time, they always blow up, right? They always blow up. And I think that's a really good percentage. He picks the right people to work with. It's the right song. It complements the video. And at this point, man, when I watch, if I see a new artist that he drops a music video with, I actually watch it because I want to see what Cole Bennett picked out. Not because I'm interested in the artist. I just want to see, okay, so, Cole Bennett picked this guy. I want to see what he was thinking, right?
Absolutely, man. He's just someone that I respect a lot. I actually saw him tweet recently that he's going to drop a book. I think it's this year or next year. He's going to drop a book sort of about achieving your dreams and stuff like he did with building up this business that he conceptualized years ago. And I'm definitely going to be reading that when that comes out, man.
For sure. Yeah, of course. Definitely, man.
When he's, 24 years old and he's got this much of an empire, like, that man has some knowledge. That man has some knowledge. And just to know a bit of that would be, like, insane.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Lyrical Lemonade, empire keeps on growing. What kind of artists we get from, because this year, like, we're in 2021. What artist is he going to do a video with that's going to go absolutely, Juice WRLD status, or even maybe even surpass that?
Whoever it is, I'm excited to see it happen, man. And I think we'll both definitely be keeping our eyes on it.
Now, apart from that Cole Bennett conversation we had, bro, let's talk about Hopsin, man. Because, I don't know, I've been thinking about Hopsin recently, and I've actually been thinking about him because, he dropped a song the other day, super dope record called, I don't know if you've heard it, Your House.
Yeah. And I love that, man. I honestly think the third verse in that song, one of just the craziest, most real verses that Hopsin has ever dropped.
Yeah, that song was deep, man. And, the things he was speaking on, it's just beautiful delivery. And I think the storytelling was amazing. And I think, I was just thinking about Hopsin, man, because Hopsin is a guy he's had a rough time in hip hop, kind of, if you think about it. He's had a lot of...
Definitely.
Right? A lot of negativity thrown his way. And Hopsin is a very smart guy, man. Just from I guess, like, a business standpoint. I mean, I personally think he's one of the smartest independent rappers. Hopsin has literally built, like an empire of his own. And he's done that independently. He's done that over the span of, Sag My Pants dropped, man, over 10 years ago.
2010, I think?
Yeah. That's over 10 years ago, bro.
Man, it's crazy. Because, in terms of Hopsin's music, you'd say you're a fan, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of everything Hopsin drops, but I used to be really heavy on Hopsin when I found him back in 2013. And
definitely, man. He was one of my childhood rappers, like one of the people I grew up listening to.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I first listened to him, I believe, when I was like 13 or 14. So even though there's definitely a lot of elements of his music that I'm critical of now, his music is always going to be, it's always going to have a place in my heart,
Nah, same here, man. And I think Hopsin has just owned his lane, right? He's just done a great job at doing what he does, and he's never really conformed. And I think he deserves respect for not really caving, and for just really keeping his head down and doing, things the way he wants to do them.
And with what you said earlier about him being, one of the kind of smartest rappers out there, one of the smartest independent rappers, I think that's a thing that, not a lot of people are going to admit. Because before, as you were saying, Hopsin has generally not got the most love from hip-hop fans throughout his whole career. I think it's safe to say that the sort of general perception of Hopsin is that he's corny, he's fake deep, a lot of people would say that he's an Eminem clone. And that's stuff that's persisted throughout his whole career. And I'm not going to say they're completely invalid statements, because there's a lot of Hopsin songs that I think are corny as a fan. There's a lot of stuff he says that I think is corny. But I do think he deserves that respect for managing to build such an empire off of music completely by himself and making millions off of this music. And doing that while still being someone who is so generally disrespected from people that aren't in his fan base.
Hopsin is rich as hell, man. He's richer than a lot of our favorite rappers. Like,
yeah,
Hopsin has literally been touring for the last decade worldwide, right?
And tours are where the real money is.
Oh yeah, that's where, if you want to get the bag, it's touring, and he's managed to do all that through just sticking to what he knows. And Hopsin, the thing about Hopsin as well is, like, he's never been afraid of, I guess, like, taking breaks and stepping away from the platform that he has, which is kind of scary. A lot of artists don't do that, especially if they're independent. It's like they're always in grind mode. And I even know that he went to, what was it, Thailand, right?
Thailand? Yeah, I believe he's still there right now, like just living out there, got a little mansion out there, and
just chilling,
he's just chilling,
making music, just doing his thing. And
his last album dropped in 2017.
That's a while ago, man.
And it's, like you said, very respectable that he can take these breaks, and he's got the fan base there to still keep being successful. I mean, like you said, Sag My Pants dropped in like 2010. Hopsin has been around for like a decade at this point.
People don't realize that. Think about that for a second. He's been around for 10 years, and Hopsin has not, fallen off. Because technically, Hopsin has never really been on like that, right? He's never been
right. Like, he's had
huge.
big songs. Like, Illmaine 5, I would say, was one of like the defining moments of his career. But it's not at the point where if he drops, no one's going to listen to it. I think he's still going to continue to have big songs when he does drop. He's actually gearing up to release an album right now, so we'll be seeing more singles soon, I'm sure. And I'm really excited to see what he does with this album, man.
I mean, I'm excited to see where Hopsin, I guess, like from like a character perspective, right? Because Hopsin's character, I guess, like his personality and, the rap industry has always been, criticized by a lot of people, mainly because he's always been the guy who, I don't like the industry kind of energy, right? And I want to see, I think he's actually gonna drop that in whatever album he drops next, right? I mean, he's kind of already dropped it a long time ago, right? Hopsin is not floating off of dissing people, right? He did that on Sag My Pants, got on and, did it on a couple other songs, but I'm saying now it's like Hopsin he's floating off of his own fan base and, his own, all the work he's put in.
Yeah, and I think this next album is actually going to be a very personal one, because he made an Instagram video about it recently that I watched, just because, he is someone that I keep up with what he's doing. And he was saying that he wrote a lot of this album, he recorded a lot of it at the darkest point he's ever been in his life. And he said he is past it now, he's been to therapy, he's in a much happier place at the moment, so he doesn't feel the way that he doesn't feel the way he did on that music anymore. But he's putting it out there because he wants to share it with people, and share it with people that are in that place, and let them know that it does get better, and maybe even that someone they look up to has been in that situation. So I'm expecting his next album to be a very dark and personal one, but at the same time, it's good to know that he is not mentally in that space anymore.
It's gonna be cool to see how he's grown, and this might even be the best Hopsin album, because
I think it will be.
Hopsin is far from not having it, right?
Definitely, man. Definitely.
I've always said this, and I'm gonna stick to this, but the bad parts, the negative parts, like the corniness aspect of his music, his ability to make cool songs and dope songs has always overshadowed all that bad, all the negative parts of him as a rapper, if that makes any sense.
That's facts. And can I ask you one more question before we round this off, bro?
For sure.
Did the man who invented college go to college?
That is a mystery. Oh man, that's a good question. Shout out to Hopsin for that.
Okay then.